Good morning, Your Honor. As it pleases the court, my name is Garry Blackmon, and I'm assigned to the Fire Marshal's Office as an investigator for the Houston Fire Department. And so we're standing before the court today to petition the court that we agree that there was a probable cause in the collection and the seizing and the removal of evidence from the scene of a crime while determining the cause of a residential fire at 614 Main Street. And the evidence collected should be admitted to be shown to a jury. On the afternoon of May the 23rd at 1:17 p.m. in the afternoon, the fire department received a call or a report that there was a fire at 614 Main Street, and the dispatcher immediately sent a box alarm company, which was two engines, a ladder truck, a rescue truck, and a battalion chief. On arriving at the scene of the fire, based on the record, they arrived on the scene and saw dense smoke coming from the roof eaves of this resident. And as they entered the residence, they discovered that there was a moderate to light smoke coming from, emanating from behind a television inside a small living room. After doing a primary search and exiting the residence, the homeowner showed up from the store and said that no one was inside. As the fire was extinguished, the crew began to load up their hose and do light overhaul, and immediately the Office of Emergency Administration, the OEC dispatch, dispatched this crew. That was a large alarm box that they were going to send them to, well, there was 3 children reported trapped in the fire. That crew loaded their hose up immediately and responded to that fire, leaving that original scene at 614 Main Street unsecured. I arrived on the scene about an hour and a half later to investigate the origin of the fire, because the original crew had left the scene. In this protocol and standard procedure, we always have to determine the original cause of a fire. Let me give you some context. The fire department makes between 130 to 160 fire calls, actual fires a day. The investigators make about 20 of those fires. We make those fires based on priority. If it's a homicide or there's a firefighter fatality or an explosion, we would immediately leave what we're doing to make that scene. When I arrived on the scene, we discovered that there was a determination of the origin of fire based on my experience. In the matter of the Fourth Amendment, the Supreme Court of the United States decided the landmark case of Terry versus Ohio, and it looked at the language of the Fourth Amendment, and it articulated provisions in that unrecognized that it is, although all seizures of a person's, while within the Fourth Amendment, not every seizure requires probable cause to arrest or to be reasonably understood by the first clause of the Fourth Amendment. In the case of Michigan versus Tyler, the United States Supreme Court made the ruling that extenuating circumstances existed within the reference to a fire suppression crew entering a building to extinguish a fire which occurred therein. Furthermore, they ruled that a guideline to arson and fire investigators for conforming to the Fourth Amendment agreed against unlawful search and seizure. But that's one case, Michigan versus Clifford in the United Supreme Court. They hold that the investigation was a continuance of the original entry of the initial fire, and if so, a valid purpose of entering those premises once a fire occurs would be to investigate the cause of the origin, to prevent the rekindling, if possible, of that fire, and to put that rekindling fire out, and to assure that there no danger or volatile situation does not exist. And that's the point I want to touch on, Your Honor, is that this was a continuation of the original fire. And so we asked the court to focus on attention on the language of the Fourth Amendment. And because it was a continuation of the fire, we believe that the evidence that we collected from this scene should be permissible in this court to a jury to find probable cause that there was a crime at 614 Mays Street. Thank you for letting me speak before the court today.